the best part is that in the event somebody is charged with a handgun crime in violation of this law or not respecting this law, and they prevail, the state has to pay them a reasonable attorney fee.
Ooh. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we are talking about national concealed carry reciprocity. Why? Normally we don't report on these things so early in the process, but a lot of y'all have asked in the comments. So we're going to talk through it. We're going to talk about where it is in the process, what HR 38 would do, and finally, why we haven't talked about it before now. But before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button. And Edwin, would you love to conceal carry nationwide?
Love it.
All right. What if
Even though I never leave Texas, I would love it.
Yeah, why do we ever leave Texas?
There's no reason.
There's no reason. We've got everything we need here, except mountains.
Well, head out to West Texas.
Those are hills.
Got the Guadalupe Mountains. Foothills to the Rockies.
All right, fair enough. So, yes, we have proposed January 3rd, as it always is, by the way. This is one of those things that is consistently filed right when each legislative session starts in the federal government, in the House. We have HR 38, also known as
the Constitutional Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act.
Yes, which you may recall from all the way back in where was the year where we really thought it had legs? 2017 maybe?
2017, 2018.
2017. You may recall this thing had legs, and here we are almost 10 years later still discussing a proposed bill.
Now, also, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Congress.gov website, you should become familiar with it, go on it, look at it. And one of the neat things you'll find is that you can see whether or not your congressman has signed up to be a co-sponsor of this.
Fair enough. Mine has.
Mine has as well. So, in fact, if you want to find out so that you can contact your congressman's office, go look at the list, see if they are on it. If him or her is not on it, then call your congressman and ask them why they aren't supporting this law.
Yes, we will link to it in the description. And it has many, 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 many co-authors, which is generally a good sign. But I don't know. We have to get through a bicameral legislature, right? So
sure.
Even if in the House they make this a priority, they pass it, what happens in the Senate?
So what are the hot points on this piece of legislation?
Okay. Hot points. You may carry a concealed firearm nationwide if you have two things other than that handgun with you, and it applies only to handguns. You have your government issued ID, and you have your concealed carry permit from your home state. You have those two things, bingo bango, you get to carry in. There are some weird provisions, but basically the whole country.
As a practical matter,
the whole country.
Because the calls that we get mostly concerned with people who are traveling is they just want to know how to legally travel through a state. So unless you're actually going to a state that is very prohibitive on firearms, many times you're just simply concerned with getting through these anti-gun states.
I would go to those states more often if I could have my gun, though.
True.
So I think we would get more calls about like, hey, I'm going to New York, I'm going to
Illinois, Maryland,
right? If you could actually have your gun there. And instead we get through because people are like, well, I might as well go up to, Maine or live my life, New Hampshire, live free. But so anyway, so this would be a very, very good thing. There are other provisions, and I gotta say, and it's not that I don't want to live in the world in which there are virtually no firearm restrictions. That world sounds great. I think that's good. Personally, I live in the real world, though, where there's always going to be some measure. And so I am not personally offended by the restrictions in HR 38. Do you find them offensive?
Well, no, because most of them have to do with just simple trespassing.
Yes. So you have to carry your papers. There is, I won't call anyone out by name because Richard would be furious with me for overtly starting some sort of feud, but there is one firearm group that is like obsessed with HR 38. Obsessed, despite the high unlikelihood that it ever goes anywhere. And they're like, there are dangerous problems with this bill.
Well, and for example, so we'll just use Texas as an example because that's what we're most familiar with.
Sure.
Because these concealed carriers from out of state would have to abide by Texas trespassing laws. The Texas trespassing laws were developed after many hours of debate, many considerations, and it strikes a balance between the rights of private property owners to exclude firearms as their own personal preference versus the rights or the ability of individuals to carry their firearms. And so that's what this law simply acknowledges. It's like if your state has taken the time to examine areas that may have special interest or areas that are controlled by private individuals to say that they have the right to prohibit firearms on those places, then this act of Congress recognizes that and simply says that this act does not override those.
Correct. So you're traveling out of state, you've got your handgun, you've got your license on you, and you see a no trespassing sign, whether on a government building or on a restaurant, right? Private establishment that says you are trespassing if you carry a handgun into this location. Well, go put the gun back in your car or choose a different restaurant. I mean, that's already the rule as it
Right.
applies to, let's say, retired officers carrying under LEOSA.
Yes.
They've got to obey all those trespass laws too. They have national reciprocity in so much as it exists here. I mean,
Yes.
they're okay.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you can disagree with a law, but you still can respect where it comes from.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, yeah, would it be super if those provisions weren't contained in here? Sure. Would I rather have this law? And do I think it's that objectionable? Like, no, I mean, I hate to quote Barack Obama, but I'll go ahead and do it.
Oh, I don't think you can do that on this channel.
Richard, but I will not sacrifice the perfect for what did Obama used to say? Don't sacrifice the perfect for want of the good. Sacrifice the good for want of the perfect.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't know. This is, yeah. Anyway, so
I didn't commit to memory many Barack Obama quotes.
but you should have. At least the
Should I
funny
have?
ones.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So, and
The only one I remember is, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor.
you didn't build that.
Yeah, you didn't build that.
So moving on. So yes. Now that being said, trespass laws aside, having to have your handgun license on you aside, the objection that this one group makes that I do think is interesting is the felony under your floorboard objection. What is that?
Well, they have pointed out that the bill says that you can carry a handgun, which they are saying that the anti-gun states will immediately interpret as one gun, one magazine, and that is it.
Yeah.
Rather than saying any handgun,
Right.
which would be interpreted as carry as many handguns as you want.
Right. You've got the one on you, but then you've also got the one in your vehicle, and that's going to get you in trouble. And
Which we all know that 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
2 is 1 and 1 is none. But, valid, I would say, valid objection. That could actually get some people in trouble. However, there are lots of really good things in this bill that I really like. I mean, one of them is that presentation of your handgun license, which is, I mean, the easiest, fastest way to prove to whoever in law enforcement is trying to jam you up that you do, in fact, have the right to own and possess firearms in your home state. You present that license, and that is your prima facie evidence that you are not violating the law. They can't get over probable cause, and you cannot be arrested or detained for possession of the handgun once you present that license. That's great. It's written in there in a way that's beautiful to me.
Your prima nocta.
God bless. Anyway, But also, I think there's even one better in here. You want to discuss the best part?
Yes, the best part is that in the event somebody is charged with a handgun crime in basically in violation of this law or not respecting this law, and they prevail, the state has to pay them a reasonable attorney fee.
Ooh,
And
love to hear
because we get that question all the time.
Yeah.
Well, what if I'm charged and I'm found not guilty? I mean, don't I get my money back? No, you do not get your money back. So you can be completely exonerated, have your record cleared, be restored to the position you were in before being charged with a crime, except for the fact
Except you're
that
poor.
you will not get any of the money back that you had to defend yourself. So, what would happen if every state criminal law had this as an element?
Well,
That
yeah.
if the county prosecutor charges you with a crime, you go to trial and you lose, that now the county is on the hook for compensating you for your attorney fee. That would probably lead to a lot less frivolous prosecutions.
It would. Not only would stupid cases not be charged in the first place, but as you lead up to trial, I mean, one of the most infuriating things as a trial lawyer, especially when your client's charged with a felony, is when the state's kind of like, yeah, I mean, I know I'm probably going to lose, but, we're going to try it anyway, because it doesn't matter to them. They don't have anything on the line.
Nothing.
Whereas, like, your guy, not only does he have your trial fee on the line, which is, some money, but also he's got his entire life. He's got potential prison time for felonies on the line.
I know.
And so it's a big deal. It's, tossing it up in the air and saying a jury's going to do what they're going to do, even if you're pretty darn sure that a jury's going to acquit. It's still terrifying, and it still costs a fortune. And so this is not, I'm talking like this is going to happen. But if we lived in that world, we wouldn't have those trials even.
Yeah,
It
so
would be wonderful.
let's make a note. January 2027, we present a bill like that to the Texas legislature.
Yes.
Put that in the Code of Criminal Procedure.
I know. And that will never, ever, ever, ever come to pass in Texas.
True.
Ever. That's too many Texans for lawsuit reform.
No.
They would never allow it.
No, too many fake Law and Order Republicans.
Oh, God, I know.
Especially one I'm thinking of right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Name rhymes with Schmoan Schmuffman. Anyway. All right. So,
You're going to bleep that?
I don't know. I said what I said. Anyway, so yes, this bill is, you guys have been asking about it. It is worth a discussion for its good points and bad, even though, I mean, of course I said this about suppressors and short barrel rifles, and here we are. But this is not going in a budget bill. This would just have to, on its own legs, make its way through Congress. And it's just not going to happen, y'all. I wish. I mean,
Maybe it will.
Sure enough. You never know. But we hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you did, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and help us fight that anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video. And leave us more questions and comments below. We're talking about this because y'all were asking. Until next time, we're the Arms Attorneys.